Ever wondered about the silent but deadly disease called tuberculosis? This menacing condition has been a part of human history for thousands of years, still affecting millions around the world today. It's a disease that doesn't discriminate, impacting individuals regardless of age, gender, or socioeconomic background. The importance of understanding tuberculosis and diseases like it cannot be overstated. Why? Because knowledge is our first line of defense. Tuberculosis, often shortened to TB, is a fascinating and complex disease. It's one that hides in plain sight, often dormant, only to strike when least expected. It's a disease that demands our attention and respect. In the next few minutes, we'll delve into the world of tuberculosis, its impact, and the ways we can help prevent its spread. We'll demystify this ancient disease, bringing light to its shadowy existence. So hold on to your hats, folks. Stay tuned to uncover the mystery behind tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, often known as TB, is a potent bacterial infection. It's an old foe of humanity, having been with us for thousands of years, and despite advancements in modern medicine, it remains a global health threat. So what exactly is tuberculosis? Essentially, it's a disease caused by a bacterium known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This tiny, rod-shaped organism has a knack for surviving in harsh conditions, and it's been causing havoc in human bodies for millennia. The primary battlefield for this bacterial invader is the lungs. You see, when a person with active TB disease in their lungs or throat coughs, sneezes, speaks, or sings, they propel these bacteria into the air. If someone else inhales a sufficient quantity of these airborne bacteria, they can become infected. Once in the lungs, the bacteria can multiply and cause a condition known as primary TB. This can involve symptoms like a persistent cough, chest pain, and coughing up blood. But it's not just the lungs that TB can target. If the bacteria manage to enter the bloodstream or lymphatic system, they can travel to any part of the body. This is known as extrapulmonary TB, and it can affect organs like the kidneys, spine, and brain. While it's a frightening prospect, it's important to note that not everyone who inhales TB bacteria becomes sick. Many people who are infected with TB are able to fight the bacteria and stop them from growing. This is known as latent TB infection. People with latent TB are not sick because the bacteria are not active, and they cannot spread TB to others. But if their immune system can't stop the bacteria from growing, they will progress from latent TB infection to TB disease. In summary, tuberculosis is a bacterial infection primarily affecting the lungs, but with the potential to impact other parts of the body. It's a disease that's been with us for a long time and continues to pose significant health challenges worldwide. It's crucial to know the enemy, isn't it? Now let's delve into how this enemy attacks. Tuberculosis, a silent invader, wreaks havoc in the body in a very systematic manner. Let's delve into this intricate process. Picture this. You're in a room with someone who has tuberculosis. They cough, they sneeze, and microdroplets containing the tuberculosis bacteria, also known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis, are released into the air. You inhale. Unbeknownst to you, the bacteria have now found a new home, your lungs. In the lungs, these bacteria are initially engulfed by a type of immune cell called a macrophage. However, instead of being destroyed as one might expect, the bacteria actually use these cells as a kind of Trojan horse, hiding within them and using them to multiply and spread. This is where the real trouble begins. As the bacteria multiply, they form a mass known as a tubercle. The bacteria within these tubercles can survive in a dormant state for years, causing no symptoms and remaining undetectable. This is called latent tuberculosis. However, if the immune system weakens, the bacteria can become active, leading to active tuberculosis. This is when symptoms start to appear: persistent cough, weight loss, night sweats, fever, and fatigue. And the bacteria don't always stay put in the lungs. They can use the bloodstream as a highway to travel to other parts of the body, such as the kidneys, the spine, or the brain. This is known as extrapulmonary tuberculosis, and it can cause a variety of symptoms depending on the organ affected. The bacteria's ability to hide, to lie dormant, and then to become active when the immune system is weakened makes tuberculosis a formidable foe. It's a silent invader that can slip under the radar, only to unleash havoc when least expected. It's quite a battle inside the body, isn't it? Now, imagine if we could prevent this battle. Prevention is better than cure, especially when it comes to diseases like tuberculosis. With this in mind, let's dive into the world of preventive measures that can keep this infectious disease at bay. One of the key preventive measures against tuberculosis is the BCG vaccine. Named after the French scientists Albert Calmette and Camille Guérin who developed it, this vaccine has been in use for nearly 100 years. It's primarily given to infants in countries where tuberculosis is common. But here's the catch. The BCG vaccine isn't entirely foolproof. It doesn't always prevent people from getting tuberculosis. However, it can prevent severe forms of the disease in children, including tuberculosis, meningitis, and miliary disease. That's a significant benefit, considering how dangerous these forms of tuberculosis can be. But what about adults, or those in countries where the BCG vaccine isn't commonly administered? For them, and really for all of us, there are other preventive measures that can significantly decrease the risk of contracting tuberculosis. One of these measures is simply wearing a mask. This is particularly important if you're around someone who has tuberculosis. Remember, tuberculosis spreads from person to person through the air. When people with tuberculosis cough, sneeze, or even talk, they can propel the tuberculosis bacteria into the air. A mask can help protect you from inhaling these bacteria. Maintaining good hygiene is another crucial preventive measure. Regular hand washing can help remove bacteria and other germs from your hands. This is important because, while less common, it's possible to get tuberculosis by touching your mouth or nose after touching something contaminated with the tuberculosis bacteria. To sum up, although there's no foolproof way to completely prevent tuberculosis, measures like the BCG vaccine, wearing masks, and maintaining good hygiene can go a long way in reducing your risk. And remember, early detection and treatment are crucial in controlling the spread of this disease. Preventing tuberculosis surely sounds achievable, right? But what if you've already contracted it? Even a formidable enemy like tuberculosis can be vanquished with the right weapons. The foremost weapon we have against tuberculosis is antibiotics. These are powerful drugs that kill or inhibit the growth of bacteria, including the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the culprit behind this disease. The most common treatment for tuberculosis consists of a cocktail of 4 different antibiotics, namely isoniazid, rifampin, ethambutol, and pyrazinamide. This regimen typically lasts 6 months, with the first 2 months being the most intensive phase. Now you might be wondering, 6 months of antibiotics? That sounds like a long time. Indeed it is, but it's absolutely crucial to complete the full course. Here's why. Tuberculosis bacteria are notoriously slow-growing, and it takes a considerable amount of time to ensure all of them are eradicated from your body. If you stop taking your medication prematurely, some bacteria may survive and develop resistance to the antibiotics, leading to a much harder-to-treat form of the disease. And we definitely don't want that. Speaking of antibiotics, it's worth mentioning that they can have side effects. Some people might experience nausea, jaundice, or even a rash. However, these symptoms are usually manageable and should not deter you from continuing your treatment. Always consult with your healthcare provider if you're experiencing discomfort or unusual symptoms during your treatment. In some cases, individuals may have what's called drug-resistant tuberculosis. This means that the bacteria causing their disease are resistant to at least one of the main tuberculosis drugs, but don't lose hope. Even drug-resistant forms of tuberculosis can be treated. It's just that the treatment process may be more complex and lengthy, often involving a combination of different drugs. With the right treatment, tuberculosis can be beaten. Remember, knowledge is power. So equip yourself with the right knowledge, adhere strictly to your treatment regimen, and you'll be well on your way to defeating this formidable enemy. After all, the most powerful weapon against any disease is our will to fight it. Let's recap what we've learned about tuberculosis today. Tuberculosis, often known as TB, is a potent bacterial infection that primarily attacks the lungs but can spread to other parts of the body. It's a serious condition that can be fatal if not treated properly. We've learned how TB affects the body. It starts by invading the lungs, causing symptoms such as a persistent cough, fatigue, and weight loss. If left unchecked, it can spread, affecting other vital organs and complicating treatment. We've also discovered that prevention is possible. Simple steps like maintaining a healthy lifestyle, getting vaccinated, and regular checkups can go a long way in keeping TB at bay. And finally, we've discussed treatment. Though it's a long and complex process, TB is curable with a regimen of antibiotics taken over several months. Remember, the first step in fighting any disease is understanding it. Stay healthy, stay informed.